Hello, everyone, and welcome to Zobrio University's FE webinar on Oh No, Avoid. Today we have Crystal Haggerty, a Senior Application Consultant here at Zobrio to lead the webinar. If you have any questions, please leave them in the chat, which is located at the bottom of your screen. We'll go over all of it at the end. All right, thank you, and I'll hand it over to Crystal.
Thank you, Colleen. Hi, and welcome to Zobrio University. Pardon my voice. I'm a little, apparently I've got a little frog there. Well, he'll work his way up. The more I talk, the more he'll ribbit. All right, welcome to Financial Edge, Oh No, Avoid. We have these, they happen. I think we all ideally hope they don't happen, but they do happen, right? So we're gonna go over and take a look at what to do when they do happen. So first, a couple housekeeping things, just so you know. I'm going to be using our sample database. I'm going to be walking through voids in accounts payable, but they're really the same process in the other modules as well. And just as an FYI, the sample database, it's either the best or worst case scenarios. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for the best. The other day I was doing something and I was like, nope, I've made too many changes, and our sample sometimes gets a little cranky with me. That's okay. We'll figure it all out. So first thing I wanted to take a look at is, or let you know, is something about voids. When you have an invoice, if it is not posted, if it has not, if it could have been approved, but it's not posted, you can void it, delete it, and you can start again. You can make any changes up to that point, because at that point, before anything is posted, it's really just a record within the financial edge, right? It's sitting there, it's waiting to get allocated to the actual accounts and get paid. So just keep that in mind. If you've already gone through the process, they've approved it, but it hasn't been posted, you can make any of those changes prior to that. If it's already been posted, then we do have to do a void. And when we void a payment, what it does is it unapplies the payment. So it takes you back almost to where you started, right? So something to think about. When you void a payment, it unapplies the payment. So it takes those funds. You don't have to do anything else on your end when you void it. It'll just go ahead and do that for you. So it reverses everything. It will create a reversal if you choose to make the payment again. So say you void a payment and it's unapplied, and now you want to repay it for some reason, which we'll go through the process of, then at that point, you'll be able to, it'll show you a reversal in your journal and you'll see the payment. All right, so where can we void an invoice? You can grab an invoice through a vendor record from the invoice itself or from the bank register. I'm going to go ahead and share my Financial Edge now. And here we go. So I'm in the, it says education, but it's Financial Edge sample database. And up here at the top, I'm in accounts payable. I'm going to go ahead and look at a vendor record. And let's see. What's going to be, I'm going to be hopeful about one. We're going to look at South Carolina. No, I'm going to do Bugs Be Gone. I might make a change when I go in and look at it another way. But we're going to start with Bugs Be Gone, because who doesn't want bugs gone, right? We don't want to keep them. All right, so from a vendor record, if you click on activity, you can see, so here within this, I have 3 that need to be, that are approved, that haven't been paid yet. And any of these that have been paid, I'm going to just double click on it. So it goes ahead and it opens up the actual invoice. So from a vendor record, activity, the activity tab, I can open up an invoice. Payments and credits, I can click on that tab. And then the line here, if I open this up, this opens up the actual payment. So one of the things to think about with databases, and I'll tell you these little tips as I go through, is this is a relational database. And so what you're seeing right now is that relation, right? Because I am in Financial Edge, I'm on a vendor record. From the vendor record, there's a connection, a relationship to the invoice. And from the invoice, I've got a relationship here to the actual payment. So when you start to, as you get more and more comfortable with your systems, or if you're coming back to it, or if you've just been stuck for a little bit, one of the things I really recommend open up your records, walk through them, open these things up and kind of see how they're connected, right? So here we are at this point. So vendor record, invoice, and now payment. Up here at the top, I can click void. Now, everybody has different ways of doing it. I think all of us who have been using these systems for a long time, we like to have less windows open, not more. I think the more windows you have, it gets a little more confusing. You've probably taken a class or had a consultant that's always wanted you to increase the size of your window. And it's kind of that same concept. The more windows you have, the more you see, it gets a little bit harder to focus and figure out each little piece you need to take care of. So we're going to go through and take a look at this a different way. So I could void a payment by going to the vendor record and the invoice, or even coming from the invoice itself, I could open up an invoice and it still takes me to payments, and I can grab the payment here to make a change to void it. Or I can do it from the bank register. So if you're on your banks, whichever bank account, so we're in the sample, I'm gonna choose our basic operating account. If I open up a register here, I'll make this bigger so it's a little bit easier to see. I can actually grab anything from here and make a void straight from the register, which for me, it's a little bit easier because I'm not going through all those little pieces and little steps of getting to this point. I think I actually even have, whoops, there you go. Oh, I went too fast. I get too excited, and there you go. So I did put a snapshot of the bank register in here and a little snapshot of a void payment, which we're going to take a look at. And we'll come back. Don't get too excited just because you saw the word purge. All right. From here, I can open up anything that I want to see here. So this is outstanding, hasn't been, the check hasn't been cashed. I can open it up and I can click void right now and go ahead and void this invoice. So I'm going to click it and let you see what happens. So when I void it, it comes up and it says, okay, got a couple things that we need to take care of here. I need to know the void date and I need to know the reversal post date. So even though when we're voiding it, this isn't getting rid of it altogether, right? All we're doing is we're voiding the payment. So this piece, the void date and the reversal date, that's what you would see back connected when you repost. If you're not getting rid of this altogether, you're not going to purge it. And we will, I might touch on that. You need to sort of, I'm going to back up for a second. Think about stuff in your office and what kind of protocols or do you have systems in place that say, you know what, whenever we need to void something, we don't purge it, we keep it because we want to make sure that we're catching all the things that we had to reverse or we had to redo. So for me, I like to stick with seeing everything. Of course, we know audit time, we have to explain everything, but I always feel like it's better to show it, be really transparent, and have all your pieces. So for me, I like the void, and these two things come into play. So you can pick a specific date. It could be today's date, could be the post-payment date, payment post date. Sorry, I said that backwards. I'm just going to pick today for right now. Now, take a look down here. So right now, all I'm doing is I'm voiding the payment. I do have an option here that I can delete this invoice. I'm just going to check this box here, but I'm not going to actually do it. I just want you to see that when that comes up, I also have to pick a reverse on date. If I decide to delete the invoice, I need to have a reverse date. But I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to void just this one payment. And here we go. And then it jumps up and it says, okay, so you're going to void this. The computer check is about to be voided. Do you want to continue? So yeah, because this is what I wanted. I need to get rid of this payment. Either maybe they didn't cash the check, maybe it came back to us, whatever reason is, I'm going to go ahead and say yes. Of course, in any of these moments, whenever you have done a void or you're doing a global change or anything like that, we all know it's it's good if we all gather around each other, hold each other's hands, take a deep breath and go, do we want to void this? Yes, yes, we do. So I'm going to go ahead and click void. And now it's voided. See down here at the bottom, you can see voided 9/23/21. So Dr. Jerry North didn't get his payment. Oh, it was a hefty amount too. Now I can go ahead. Let's go back. Let's go look at Dr. North so we can see what it looks like in Dr. Jerry North's record. All right, so back in a vendor, back on activity, and here we go. Now see, it's back to the approved state. It didn't get rid of it. It didn't get anything. So now you're back here where you can make some changes. You can decide to pay or how you want to pay it. Maybe the payment needs to be changed. It can't be a check. It needs to go through another avenue. Whatever it needs to do, you're now at this payment process. Okay, let's go back to our little thing. So when to void, you can still use the invoice. All you need to do is repost. So you see and you'll see the reversals. I'm going to do that next and pay again with a new check number. If you want to use the same check number, you'll need to purge that first. So again, whoops, you're going to need to decide, do we want to do that in our office and make those decisions? You can if you want. I'll show you the little area where you can do so. But again, that's kind of an internal thing, like what works best for your organization. Okay, so with everything we do, as we know, if we want to move forward with it, right? So again, I'm going to go back to Jerry here, Dr. Jerry. He's got an approved invoice here. If I want to pay this, I need to have it posted. So let me show you what that's going to look like. I'm going to do a little something different with the post to just grab Jerry, but you'll get to see a posting parameter and kind of have an idea of how these pieces work. So in administration, post, I just did a quick vendor post. This makes it just a little bit faster when you're trying to show. You probably, usually in your post parameters, have a really standard one that just accounts payable. You may or may not have any filters in here or any formats. One of the things to think about, I've had clients say, I went to post and something wasn't there. And the first thing that we all say here at Zobrio, anybody at Blackbaud, anybody who's trained, is what's in your filters? If you have a date range, if you have any filters in here, that could be the reason that something didn't come up in your post. Another thing about posting, always validate first. And I know we all get comfortable. I joke around people, but I'm an only child. And of course, being an only child, your parents always think that you're amazing. So I do start to move fast when I'm working on things. And I know what it's like to be like, I'm good, I'm comfortable, I can do this, and just go straight for the post. I highly recommend that you don't do that, that you always validate first, then post. That's going to catch a few things for you. So I'm going to change, I'm going to choose selected invoice. Oh, not that one. And I'm just doing this so I can get just the one I need. You can, of course, post anything that you, here we go. Oh, now I forgot which one it is. Sorry. Let me go back and take a look. Invoice. Nope. Vendors. Dr. Jerry. Oh, that's right. 9/15. I couldn't remember. I should remember, right? It's 15, 15, and 15. Sorry about that. It's just been one of those weird weeks, right? It's been just a strange, strange week. All right, posting. Sorry. Administration, post. I'm going to come back. I'm going to grab that invoice, could do the vendor. And from here, I can do selected. You can do a range. You can pull in a query. So if you've had to do a group, you might be pulling in a query. Here we go. Here's the one that I want. So I'm pulling that one in. And this is where we keep our fingers and toes crossed with the sample database. I'm going to hit validate now. No post to transaction. Let me go back and take a look. Okay. I'm going to put all dates. There we go. And let's validate. Validation failed. Let's see why. Oh, it's because I have all these other things in here. Well, that's okay. One of the things to see is these are the twin bridges I did reversal from earlier today. And oh, of course, sample. It's like you just know when to have fun with me. Let's go back in. I'm just gonna try one more thing. Let's see if I can get the one I want. Nope. Ugh, cranky. Okay. Not to worry. I'm gonna fix this in just a second. That's all right. So what I need to do though, let me back up here, is my post needs to work. And it did work 5 minutes ago. Of course, it's not working right this second. But you always need to repost prior to having any of your stuff go through, right? We can't post without it. I just post. Let's take a look at Jerry. He'll probably post. Yep, he did. So we see him here. His finances are coming through and it's all being taken care of. Sure, I'll save my post parameter. Now, if I come back in here to banks, I can now either open my register and we're going to find that. Here we go. Where's Jerry? He's hidden somewhere. It's just one of those days. Here we go. And oh no, that's not the one. He did not get posted. Sorry, folks. I will fix the posting on this in a bit. So what you'll want to do is post, and then you can go back through and run your checks again. Now, if you want to purge your payments, then you can do purge and void transactions. I'm going to click this just so you see it. You can choose the transaction type and the payment number. So the payment number would be that check number. And you can go ahead and do a start number and end number and purge now. The reason you'd want to purge is if you really want to use that check number again. But again, that's an internal discussion within your office about best practices and how you want to track things. Now, I want to show you another thing that's kind of with voids, but it's with checks themselves. So when you're printing checks, I'm going to click print checks and record bank drafts. When you're printing checks, we've all had moments where all of a sudden the check doesn't print correctly. And pardon me, sorry, my frog is back. I'm giving him as much water as I can. Within here, this is where we can make a decision. So before you just come in here, print your checks, walk through the process, go a little bit slower. If you've ever had issues with your printer, if you went to print and there was card stock in there and not check stock, it got jammed and they all got eaten. This is how we're going to go ahead and reprint. And we kind of group this with voids in the way that these are the things that you have to fix, right? We have to fix a void. We have to reprint checks. So I'm going to click on invoices here. I'm not going to get them all. I'll just take a couple from the top here. And I'm just going to pick 4. And when I come down here and they say create now, it shows me, okay, it's going to create this many computer checks. This is how much the total will be. So I'm going to create payments. Oh, and I need to save it. Now, right here, this is where I want you to stop on this printing status, moving it around because it's kind of hard to see on the screen. At this point, if your printer has jammed If you find out that these did not go through successfully, this is where you stop and say, nope, it was not successful. We can clear all the payments, or we can void and purge a computer check. We can void only, or we can reprint. So depending on what you need to do, you can void and purge, will get rid of everything, void just the check, or reprint the computer checks. So at this point, if I said it's not successful, I could come in and say reprint and print these numbers in. Or I could say it was successful, it was okay, and it's going to go ahead and print. Now, another thing I want to cover before, I know we're getting close to our time. I do get to be a little bit of a chatty Cathy at times, and I know that. Here's your little manual checks. And what to do if we get stuck. Taking a look at that, we go to our register, make sure we stop here and don't just agree that it's successful. Now, I want to take a look at a couple of user options with you that pertain to what we just did or what we started to look at. Now, user options are always found up here at the top in tools and options. These options are for you, the user, okay? So if you make any changes in here, know that this is just for you. One of the things you might want to think about when we take a look at a couple of these is, again, with those policies and procedures within your office, would these be something that you want to add in and make sure that everybody on their user options has the same user option? Let's take a look at one. Under invoice and activity. So right now, here's a few things. You can make a decision here about how you're going to handle anything that happens. Default invoice date right now is left blank. You can change it to today. Default invoice due date, post status, post date, default reversal post date. Now, if all my stuff had posted well, you would have seen a good reversal. The reversal date is left blank because it would actually let you allow, actually like blank for both of these, it lets you pick them yourselves. One of the things to think about is if you leave any of these blank, they are required. So it will say, hey, wait, you've got to make this decision, which then goes back to policies and procedures. What are the dates that we want on everything? Do we want a reversal date to be the same date? Do we want it to be the date that we did it? So if these are changed and they're left blank, that'll give you that option to ask that question. So we recommend that you leave things blank. You can also see this in credit memo activity. Again, here's a reversal date, and the post date can either be today or whichever date you'd like. And we also see that down in the payments. So payments, default void date blank and default reversal date blank as well. This gives you that option to go ahead and be asked when you're doing these things exactly what date you want, which is a really good thing to have, because I think we all get into that habit of like, oh, just today, just today. But there are a few other things to do. One other thing here as I'm coming through, vendor activity, show deleted transactions. So within the transactions themselves, if we had decided not just to void, but to get rid of everything, what that does is it'll delete the invoice, and that will look like, sure, I've got a deleted invoice in here. Probably not that I've said that. Oh yeah, it'll show you deleted here. So that means that this one was purged. The whole thing was gotten rid of. I still see it, but I'm not going to be using this to make a payment down the road. Whereas Bugbagon, when that was changed, it just comes back to the approval. Doesn't say pending, comes to the approval stage, and then I can still make any of those changes. All right, whoops. So here are a couple of those screenshots in your invoice activity and payment. Those are the two most important ones. I think the biggest thing to learn with all of this is, one, they happen. We're all going to have these things. We're going to have something that gets stuck. There's a lot of resources. We're a resource here at Zobrio. You also have knowledge base through Blackbaud. and we're happy to help with anything else that you might need. So I hope some of this was helpful to all of you, and I look forward to speaking to you again without a froggy voice. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, everyone. A recording of this webinar will be made available shortly. Have a good day.